But got to get it done. Got to get him back on the court. So this opens up room for Norm Powell. Good thing they got him. And maybe even Terry Rozier, who was kind of buried on the bench chart, the depth chart there.
Out to start the season, though, for Tyler Hero. All right.
Trade value.
To the stalemate between restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors. It continues. His agent, Aaron Turner, he told the Hoop Collective podcast that they're prepared to take the $8 million one-year qualifying offer. So the Warriors, remember, they'd reportedly offered a 3-year, $75 million deal, but the team is sticking with that team option in the final year, and that has been a sticking point. So whether it's a team or a player option, that would guarantee Kuminga $48 million in the first 2 seasons. Since we're talking money, we need to bring in Mr. Money Moves, Bobby Marks, our front office insider. Bobby, why would Kuminga take the qualifying offer instead of that guaranteed, $40 million more?
Yeah, first, give credit to Brian Windhorst. I don't think I've seen an agent come on a podcast and negotiate for his client like he did, Aaron Turner did with Jonathan Kuminga here. I think from his perspective, he's looking at it first. The $8 million qualifying offer gets him to unrestricted free agency next year. It also gives him the right to veto any trade coming forth. It was also mentioned, and Anthony Slater has mentioned this, that Kuminga has taken out an insurance policy in case he does get injured. So there is the mitigating cost as far as future salary that could be coming in. But I do think, Malik, I think there's a compromise here when you're looking at it. And I know we've talked about the 2-year, the team option here. I think you could still do the team option. And I think what you can do if you're Golden State, let Kuminga have the right to veto any trade. But here's a little wrinkle. If he was traded and Golden State exercised that team option, guess what happens? He no longer has the right to approve any trade any further. So I think there is a common ground, at least from the Warriors' perspective, to get a deal done, because I think this is kind of the last resort both sides want to go through, is have him play out on that 1-year deal.
Bobby, when I read that the Warriors had offered him the 3-year deal, the 3 years with the team option on the on the 3rd year, I felt like they were the ones who blinked. Like, that to me was a significant development in these negotiations. That was a concession, because all summer long it had been a 1-and-1 team option on the 2nd year. Now it gave him another guaranteed year. So that's, instead of being $24 million 2 years, but only 12 of that's guaranteed, now this is an extra $40 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money, and I felt like the Warriors already blinked by offering him that. And I know we're hung up on this team option versus player option, but Bobby, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that felt like in the stare down that Kuminga has already got them to move.
Well, I don't think they're going to move any further. I think certainly when you talk to people close to the organization, I think we're kind of here we are, right? It's either going to be the qualifying offer or it's going to be one of those offers that have already been on the table here. Listen, we've got 2 weeks until October 1st. That's the deadline when this qualifying offer goes off the table, unless Golden State wants to extend it. Remember, there's also that offer for 3 years. I think it was $54 million. That was straight, no options at all there. So there are different scenarios for Kuminga, but as we heard on the podcast, they're going to dig their heels in the ground here, and they're going to look at what's best for Jonathan Kuminga. And if it's what's best is 1 year and taking $16 million less, they're going to go out and do that.
And I think where people are maybe being confused is their perspective of what's best for Jonathan Kuminga is not necessarily maximizing the value of the contract. They're looking, Jonathan Kuminga thinks he is a blossoming star.
Right.
Clearly, the Golden State Warriors do not agree with that. Steve Kerr does not agree with that. Jonathan Kuminga wants to be in a situation where he can thrive. And he says, hey, if I'm leaving money on the table now, he's betting if he gets in a situation where he'll have the ball more, where he can thrive, that the money will come. You can agree or disagree, but his perspective isn't, let me get paid as much as possible right now.
Right, and you heard that up close on the Collective podcast. Again, Brian Windhorst, you can listen to that interview. It is up now wherever you get your podcast. Tim, have you checked your mail?
I have not.
Well, you know, October 1st is still a couple of days away, but you might have missed an invitation from Anna Wintour to Fashion Week. And in case you did, it just wrapped up in New York. So you might want to open that a little late. But some NBA players, they were all locked in. And look at this.
So cute.
Josh Hart hitting the runway with his twins.
Love it.
I do have a good sweats collection.
Precious.
You have some great shoes.
Look at it, working it. Look at these youngins.
Also one of the perks of playing in New York for the Knicks.
Absolutely. It works with the schedule, maybe a little differently than Tim makes.
know he wants to make a statement.
Destroyer.
Doncic steps back.
He's red hot. He's at his best. Stop it. Stop it.
Honestly, I think we have what we need to compete for the championship. You know, we're going to go for it.
So right now on ESPN.com, you could read Dave McMenamin's in-depth look at this summer of Luka Doncic and how it could be transformational for the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. And how lucky for us, Dave is joining us right now. I think we might need to transform the photo we have here of Luka Doncic. It's no longer reflective of how he's showing up, not at FIBA and not now. But Dave, the Lakers, they showed their commitment back. Luka's been showing it all summer. What exactly did that look like, both in person and from afar?
Well, in person, the Lakers had a group travel to Poland to see him before the start of Eurobasket, and that was a 6,000-mile trip. Rob Pelinka got in the plane, Jeannie Buss got in the plane, the Rambi got in the plane.
Rambi.
They wanted to make it clear to Luka, if something's important to you, it's also important to us. This was really a chance to establish the first footing together after the whirlwind of the midseason trade.
Yeah.
And that extended as the Lakers went back to the States. There was a group chat before and after every game between Laura Beth Seeger, Luka's manager, Javi Barrio, his physiotherapist, and then Rob Pelinka and Dr. Leroy Sims, who's the head of medicine for the Lakers. And they just wanted to make sure that, hey, is your body right?
Yeah.
Is there any tweaks that we saw in the game? Did we do anything? And then beyond that, they were so, forthcoming and generous with their resources. You know, Slovenia is a country of 2 million people. They had their equipment manager in touch with the Slovenian national team. They're like, if you need any gear, we can send stuff, airmail to you. And really, it was about, you are going to be the face of our franchise, and we want you to be as comfortable as possible in reaching that kind of stature. And if that includes playing for your national team, we're okay with it. We endorse it. We want to see it because we want to see you in your full form. And take control of your career. If you do it, it's going to get us where we want to go too.
And there's really interesting details in this piece about Luka's intermittent fasting, about the Lakers, what their commitment is here to Luka Doncic. But you two cover the Lakers very closely. You have covered Luka more closely than anyone really in his career. And so I want to really distill down what is important to know here, because fans are seeing the pictures and there's a lot of excitement. But Luka's been the face of a franchise before, right? What is different right now, Tim, from your reporting?
I think the slap in the face of the trade and the way it happened, the aftermath, that has been a big-time wake-up call for Luka. I think it has forced him to grow up. And look, there's been flashes of a commitment to conditioning for Luka in the past. This feels like something that is the turning of a corner. You know, can he maintain it through the course of the season? We'll see. But you're seeing maturation, Luka, the way he interacted and led a Slovenia team. With, you know, Dave,
had you ever seen that before?
Not to that degree, and he didn't have to be the leader in Dallas. You know, Kyrie Irving was. You know, Jalen Brunson was the vocal guy. On that Slovenian national team, and you know, in Eurobasket, they put the camera in the huddle, so you really saw it. But I think that was evidence of maturation. The way that he has worked with the front office of the Lakers in a partnership, recruited. These are things. This is different than it was in Dallas. Certainly the relationship with the Mavericks front office completely broke down, but even in the good times, this is a different approach by Luka. The media approach has been different. Now, when you're talking about maturation, what's the other thing you talk about? Ranting at the referees. You know what, though? A guy who coached him in Dallas was telling me he thinks that's also tied to conditioning.
I see that.
When there's fatigue, there's frustration, and when Luka's frustrated, the refs are going to hear about it. So maybe a better conditioned Luka. I'm not saying can totally cut that out, but cut that down.
So, Tim, I got a question. I mean, you literally wrote the book on Luka Doncic. How does this level of care and commitment and the way the Lakers front office and ownership are treating him compared to the way that Mark Cuban did? Because I felt like Mark Cuban had that sort of embrace of players, and we, you know, the Lakers take care of superstars almost like any other franchise. Is this back to the beginning?
It's back to the beginning, but it's a different Luka. And again, early in Luka's career, his thing was basically like, hey, I hoop. It's not my job to be the general manager. It's not my job to recruit players. He did